lose body fat? I guess you do, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video. How many times have you tried before? Has it worked? Okay, stick around because I'm going to show you how to do it, how to lose body fat. But first, let me ask you, how successful do you think you are going to be this time? Maybe 50% successful? Optimistically, 80% successful? Well, that's figure's already been worked out for you. This goes by the 90-10 rule. 90-10 rule. So what does the 90-10 rule mean? It means that 90% will fail and 10% will succeed. That looks pretty grim, doesn't it? 90% of you will fail and only 10% will succeed. Apparently these figures are the same if you want to get rich and you decide one day, I'm going to get rich. You have the 90-10 rule. In other words, 90% chance of failing and 10% chance of being successful. Otherwise, 90% of the population would be rich, but they're not because they can't do it. And the same with fitness. You go out to a big organisation, so you go out to a show or something like that, just see the people around you. How many of them are obese? If it was easy, they'd all be fit and healthy, athletic looking. But if you want to be athletic looking and fit, you need to watch this video. You need to be one of the 10%. So what's the difference between the two categories? Right, 90% of people will do what everyone else does, and 10% will seek the truth. There you go. 90% of people will simply do what everybody else does, and 10% will seek the truth. When I say 90% of people do what everybody else does, do you have one of these little plastic bands around your wrist? I think it's called a Fitbit. This is going to make you fit. Really? How's it going to do that? Hey, wear that on your wrist for a year and you'll be an athletic, Olympic athlete. Athletic bit, I wasn't going anywhere that way, so I changed it. Okay, and then before that we had the playing in front of a television set, you know, the Wii Fit thing, but everybody else was doing it, so you do it as well. And then you go and join a commercial gym. That's what people do, don't they? They just go and join a commercial gym. That's how they're going to get fit. Okay, well, let's look at commercial gyms. The fitness industry is one of the industries that's been growing in size over the years. Constant, well, not exactly constant growth, obviously it goes up and down a little bit, but the fitness industry is one of the fastest growing industries that we have in Australia. Now, hey, if it's the fastest growing industry in Australia, we must be engaging more people. And it does. But if we look at the figures of obesity and type 2 diabetes, they're also on the rise. Okay? The fitness industry has absolutely no impact at all on the health of the nation, in fitness or in disease. So it makes you wonder just exactly how they're supposed to be getting you fit. And the truth is they don't. And I'm sure you've been to a commercial gym, and the reason why you're watching this video is because it didn't work. So stick around, we'll get stuck into it. Okay, now you're still with us. So I guess you want to be one of the 10%. Let's say this board here, this blackboard, represents all the people that want to get fitter, lose body fat and get fit. Okay, here in the center is the winner's circle. This is the 10%. Now I guess that you're here because you want to be one of the 10%. These are the winners. Outside here is the 90%. They're the losers. Now it's not easy being the winner. Why? Because you might have done all your homework. You might decide that you're going to get some publications that are professionally written, and I'll give you a website where you can order these from later on. And you might have done your homework and going, oh yeah, okay, I've found a trainer who's really experienced. I'm going to do some courses with him and get right on track. Okay, then you might be just about ready to sort of ring up this guy and book some courses when your friends ring up and they go, oh, why don't you come out with us? We're going to go down to the gym down the road. It's got real hot music, great sound system. And then afterwards we're all getting together for coffee and so forth, and it'd be a real great, day out, a couple of hours out for, we're having a bit of fun. I don't know what it is I'm trying to say, but I'll get it out eventually. What do you do? Like, do you say, oh, hang on, I should be really going to this trainer and getting trained correctly, or I know going to a commercial gym isn't really going to be the best thing for me, but all my friends are going there and it sounds like they're going to have a good time. So you're in the winner's circle. What do? Climb over the fence into the loser's pens? What do? Do you stick to your guns and just say, look, I'm sorry, I can't come? And then go where you should be going. Now, it's not easy, and everything you do, or everything you see, influences you. So if you're going to watch rubbish on TV, read crap in magazines, it's going to influence you. And sometimes you might need to change your circle of friends. For example, if you're a drug addict and you want to stop using drugs, it's no good if you're still going to go around and knock around with all the druggies that you've been knocking around with. You have to say goodbye to all your friends and start a new life with new friends who are not drug addicts. And the same with fitness. If you want a life of fitness, sometimes you might have to make a decision that the people you're knocking around with are going to be detrimental to your goals. So it's just something that you should really think about before you start on this trip to fitness. Okay, before we start, we need to know exactly where we are at the moment. So before you start your body fat reducing program, you need to know just exactly how much body fat you have on you at the moment. The easiest way to do it is to measure around the top of your arms. You always make sure that you get halfway between your shoulder and your elbow, so you're getting the same position every time, because different positions on your arm will give you a different result. So take the measurement around the top of your arms, around the middle of your thighs, around your chest and your waist. This is so when you're exercising, you can actually track and just see how effective you're being. Also take your blood pressure. Chemists will do that. Of course, if you're going to a qualified, experienced trainer, he will take your body measurements, or she will take your body measurements and also your blood pressure for you. Another instrument that we use is this little gadget here called a skin fold caliper. With this skin fold caliper, we can actually measure the exact amount of body fat percentage that you have on your body, because fat is measured in body fat percentage. Okay, weighing does not give you a body fat percentage. Weighing a person to determine how much fat is in their body is like weighing a suitcase full of clothes to try and determine how many pairs of socks are in there. It just can't be done. Okay, so the next thing to work out is, or to understand, is where does fat come from? Obviously, it comes from food. Okay, now people think, I'll just put these down for a second. excuse me for that. People think that, no, yeah, I can eat this and I'll exercise it off tomorrow. Okay, I'd like you to Google the start of the Olympic 42k marathon. Okay, these guys are going to run 42k's. Now that's probably more exercise than you're going to do in a week. Might even be a month. And how many fat guys are in the lineup to start? Okay, there isn't any, they're all skinny. So if exercising burns fat that quickly, where's all the fat coming from that these guys are going to burn? And yes, they're doing an aerobic sport. They're burning body fat in their sport. But there's no fat people to start with, they're all skinny. So where's all the fat they're going to burn? Well, they do burn fat, but they burn very little. Look at the Tour de France. It's 3 weeks of guys, they cycle over 3,000 kilometres up mountains. There's no fat guys in the beginning, they're all pretty lean. So, you know, exercising doesn't burn a colossal amount of fat. It's the safest and best way of losing body fat, but please realise it doesn't come off very quickly. Okay, so if you think that you can exercise and not watch what you eat, you're just going to go nowhere. So the next part of this video is to start talking about how to eat correctly. Okay, so now we're going to look at how to eat correctly, and we're going to go by another rule. Love the rules. This is called the 2-hour rule. 2-hour rule. So what is the 2-hour rule? Okay, what it is that when you eat food is labelled with the energy in it, which is known as joules. So food equals joules. 1,000 joules is equal to a kilojoule. Now over the fence in the losers' pens they call them calories, but we're educated in the winner's circle, so we call them joules. Now the 2-hour rule means that when you eat food, the energy from your food, you only absorb energy from food within the first 2 hours. Any energy not absorbed can turn to fat. So you only eat enough food to keep you going for the next 2 hours. Now, if you look at children, look at your own children, not other people's children, you might get into trouble. Take children, for example, that's better. You'll notice that children don't like to sit down for a big meal because when children are born, they're born naturally. Okay, they're born as nature intended. They do not like to sit down for big meals. Children like to eat as they go. And that's how humans are intended to eat. It's only because we're now sophisticated that we sit down for a big meal. But before that, when we're in the jungle, we just went through the jungle and consumed food as we required it. Nutritionists now suggest that we have 5 to 6 small little meals a day rather than 3 big meals. So it's official by leading nutritionists. Now, if you look at the Tour de France, we're going back to the Tour de France again. I don't know if you follow it, but the Tour de France is what they call feed stations along the route. And these feed stations are about 2 hours apart. Now you think, oh, hang on, because it takes them a lot of energy and time for people to pick up the food and so forth. You think, well, hang on, why don't they just eat a whopping great big breakfast? I've looked at the amount of kilojoules these guys use during a race. And I figured they could get almost right through the race without having all these feed stations if they just have a pedal through at the takeaway place. And just a few hamburgers they could shove down and some chips and a couple of drinks, and they'd have enough kilojoules to last practically all the race. But the nutritionists that travel with them know that is not possible. It's possible they could eat it, but they know that these cyclists are only going to absorb that energy for 2 hours, and then it's just going to turn fat. It's just going to sit in their digestive system and basically go nowhere. So now let's look at how your digestive system works and why we only have small meals as we're going through the day. Okay, now before we continue, I must make a point that fat is not an extremely bad thing. Fat is used in your body. It helps to transmit signals through your nervous system. It helps to put the layer of protective moisture on your skin to protect you from UV rays, and quite a few other functions body fat has. So fat, and in fact, the Eskimos, I think they call them something else now, the Eskimos up in the Arctic Circle, those people that lived in igloos, they lived on a lot of fat, whale fat and seal fat, and in fact they were very fat people, and yet there was virtually no incidence of heart disease or cancer amongst them. And exactly the same in the Mediterranean area, where the Greeks and the Italians don't eat anything unless it's swimming in olive oil, and they too were quite fat, and they didn't have much in the way of incidence of heart disease or cancer. So fat itself is not exactly dangerous. In fact, another reason why we have these skin fold calipers that I showed you earlier is because if I have a client, or if you have an experienced trainer, they will have skin fold calipers, and if they see one of their clients getting too thin, they can actually take their body fat percentage just to ensure they're within a safe limit and not getting too low. So an experienced trainer such as myself. Well, I'm 70 years old next month, so basically anybody more experienced than me is dead. So there you have it. So basically let's move on now to what your digestive system should look like if you're eating healthy. So here is, as you know, down here there's a whole pile of tubes down here. It's like in your intestines. So you take a section of this tube and look something like this. That is the walls of the tube. Now outside the walls of this tube are muscles. There goes a bit more chalk. And a bit more. Now you notice that the walls of this part of the intestines, the digestive system, are not straight, because the muscles on the outside, I try and keep away from technical terms, but the muscles on the outside of your digestive system are called smooth muscles. Now when you look at some of the anatomical terms that they use, which are fairly long, I think the guy that named anatomical terms must have been having a day off when they named the smooth muscles. It was probably Ingrid, the tea lady or something, labelled them. But these muscles on the outside actually move your intestines like that and push the food through. So let's have a section of food here which is being pushed through. Oh, bloody hell. Excuse the expression. Okay, so the muscles there are pushing the food through. Now on the inside of the digestive system are filaments. What these filaments do is they extract the nutrients from your food and carry it out to your blood vessels, which are going to transfer it through your body. So here we have, nothing much can go wrong here. We've got a healthy looking gut with these filaments going through, picking up your food. Now, this goes to a certain extent when your digestive system changes. After that, instead of the nutrients going from the food and going into your bloodstream takes products that your body doesn't need anymore. And this is excessive cholesterol and cancer cells. It's one of the things that, or just ordinary dead cells. That's how it gets, cells are replaced millions every second. That's how the dead ones are taken out of your body through your digestive system. So here we've got excess cholesterol. When food gets down to here, sort of like then a brownie sort of substance. And most of it's gone, it's all sort of shrunk down because all the goodness has been taken out, which means because there's sort of room now for cholesterol and cancerous cells to get them pushed in through your digestive system to be jettisoned out at the lower end. Okay, so that's how your digestive system should work. Now let's look at one that's not working quite correct. I'll just have to excuse me for a second. I'll get rid of that. Okay, now we're going to draw the digestive system where somebody has had a big meal. It looks something like this. You can see that we've got a whole pile of food in here. There's a big lump which has forced the digestive system out, which means the muscles on the side are stretched. Okay, and they're having no effect in trying to move the food through. You can see the filaments on the outside hardly penetrating the food as well. Into your bloodstream. So that means you might only be getting 50% of the nutrients of your food your body is actually able to extract, which means you're not satisfying your hunger. It means you eat more. So that makes the problem even worse. So that's why you eat a big meal, you get halfway through it, you need to eat more and more. Now, the worst problem is, select the right colour here, we get to the section of your digestive system where it reverses and your cholesterol and cancer cells should be going into your food, but unfortunately most of it's still there because it hasn't digested, because it can't, because the filaments can't get to it. So that means that all this is blocked. Instead of being contracted so that the waste products can go in, it's still forced out and it's all blocked. So your cholesterol can't go in and your XL cancerous cells can't go in. Which means that because your cholesterol can't get out, that means your cholesterol in your body is going to increase, and that's where you get heart disease from, or a stroke. And of course, if your cancerous cells can't leave, then of course you're going to get cancer because they can't leave. And of course, colon cancer is one of the main type of cancers due to not eating properly. Of course, these cancerous cells are still circulating through your body, through your bloodstream. So it's very important that you only eat what you need for the next 2 hours so that you don't overload your digestive system so it works nice and smoothly. So we have to make sure that we're not loading our digestive system up too much so we get nice, free and a clear and efficient digestive system. You can imagine that was talking about just eating one meal there. What happens where your digestive system expands for that one meal. But of course, if you're continually doing that, just eating one big meal after another big meal, and there's food in there that can't digest, this of course builds up, and that's where you get the pot belly from. All right? So when you get the pot belly, it looks something like a woman being pregnant. Now, when a woman's pregnant, in the last months of her pregnancy, she starts putting on body fat. And the reason why she does that is to actually distribute, because when you've got a pot belly, your weight is leaning forward. So your body automatically puts on body fat to distribute the weight over a bigger area, so that it makes you more stable. So that's all the body fat is for, when a woman's pregnant. So the same thing is going to happen if you have a pot belly, and of course you've got the thing there for years, so your body is going to put on body fat just to counteract the off balance of having a pot belly. So as I said before, being fat is not really the basic problem. The big problem is the problem that makes you fat, which is bad digestion. So we're going to make sure now that we're going to eat correctly, because it's not only having small meals through the day that matters, we're going to have to look at some other things as well. So there's a picture here of the human digestive system. What we're going to look at first of all is the mouth. And we're going to look at chewing of food. Now, chewing of food is not just a matter of munching the food up in small lumps so you can swallow it. When you're chewing your food, you should be chewing it till it's a real soft mulch. This is because the saliva that's secreted into your mouth when you're chewing contains enzymes. Now, these enzymes actually start the digestive system. So the digestion of your food just doesn't only happen down here in your intestines. It actually starts up here in your mouth. So you must chew your food thoroughly to get the enzymes right through the food. Otherwise, there'll be food in there that'll be very hard to digest later. Okay, so get the enzymes worked right into the food by chewing it and chewing it and chewing it. Also, when you're chewing, there's receptors in your mouth that sends information to your brain. This information is to tell the brain what it is you're eating, so that it gets the enzymes and bacteria ready in your lower digestive system so it can finish the digestive process. So it takes a while for the brain to get this signal, so you need to keep chewing and keep chewing. By the time the food is nice and soft in your mouth and ready to swallow, your brain should have worked out what it is you're chewing. But understand that our brain is the same primitive brain that we had when we were in the jungle, when we were primitives. Brain doesn't really understand processed foods. So if you're going to continue eating processed foods, expect a pot belly and bad digestion. Okay, so your brain only works out meat, fruit, vegetables. Other stuff, you can eat it in between. I mean, you have to eat it a little bit. We don't have to, but it's just, we're in the 21st century. Eating a bit of processed food every now and then, you will end up doing it. But your brain really can't work out what it is, and you won't get very good digestion. Also, one of the saliva glands puts out a very slimy mucus. And this has to be mixed through your food as well, because this slimy mucus is what allows your food to slide through your digestive system smoothly. So once again, bad chewing means that food is going to get stuck in your digestive system instead of going through smoothly. Also, saliva cleans your teeth. If you don't chew your food properly and don't get saliva in with the food, then your teeth won't be cleaned properly. You'll end up with bits of food stuck in your teeth. This is from nature, of course. We use toothbrushes now, but even toothbrushes can't always get into all the hidden crevices in our teeth. So we need to chew our food and get the saliva worked right through there, and that washes all the food from between our teeth. Now, just as a side note here, they advertise chewing gum as being good for cleaning your teeth because it encourages saliva to get into your mouth while you're cleaning your teeth. Some experts have said yes, it does, but the problem with that is your body thinks you're going to eat something. So your brain is now getting ready with bacteria and enzymes in the lower digestive system ready to accept what you're eating. But unfortunately you don't eat it. So they're saying that your digestive system is being overloaded, and continual chewing, it'd be like eating too much sugar where your pancreas gets overloaded trying to release insulin. So just a side word there that eating chewing gum may not be as healthy and as good for you as the advertisements say. Also, when you're chewing, there is receptors in your mouth that also remove nutrients from your food. Nutrients in your food start getting absorbed into your body while it's in your mouth. which is quite interesting. What happens when you've eaten enough food? Well, your digestive system then notifies your brain, hey, this guy's eaten enough now, he can stop, or she can stop. But unfortunately, it might be a bit late telling the brain, because you might have stuffed another half hour's full of food down your digestive system, which hasn't been digested yet. And of course, you're putting food in there that your body doesn't need, your body won't digest it. So that's another reason why you need to eat slowly, so that when you're absorbing nutrients from the food, it's helping to tell your brain that when you've had enough food. So eating slowly also means that you're going to be notified, or your brain is going to be notified that you've had enough to eat and you don't need any more. Okay. Now, I do apologise, or sort of, if all this is getting rather boring. This is not a television program, which are made for entertainment. Not much fact in there when they're entertaining you, same as magazines. It's just basic entertainment. So this is like, say, a university lecture or something like that, where you could possibly fall asleep. So if you find it rather boring, tedious, you've had enough, the brain's absorbed enough, just switch this off and come back later on. Otherwise, you're not going to absorb things I'm going to tell you. And I might even tell you something interesting. You just don't know, do you? All right then. Okay, now, we're chewing our food correctly. We're going to swallow. And when we swallow, the food travels down our esophagus, down to this area here, which is called your stomach. Now, your stomach is an acid bath, which further breaks down the food. So the acid gets into the food to break it down. So obviously, if you haven't chewed your food properly, the acid can't get in and do its job. Now, certainly, acid can be diluted, especially by water. So when you eat, you should not drink any liquids 30 minutes before you eat, or while you're eating, or 30 minutes afterwards. This is something that might come as a shock to you, but liquids dilute acid. And if you dilute your acid, it's not going to do its job properly. You're not going to get complete digestion. Acid also is used to kill unwanted bacteria. Unfortunately, it can't kill all of them, but it does kill a lot of nasties. Once again, haven't chewed your food properly, you could end up with a bit of food poisoning because the acid hasn't been able to get in there and kill all the bacteria. I can't kill all the bacteria, sorry, not, let's say 99% of them. It can't kill all the bacteria. There are some, obviously, that you wouldn't get food poisoning at all if it did that. Have you ever been to a party where everybody's been eating the same stuff? One person's had a reaction to the food, oh, I got food poisoning from the food. Everybody else has been eating the same stuff. So you can point it down to the fact that whoever it was didn't chew their food properly, was drinking while they were eating. So these things do add up to the fact that if you don't eat correctly, you're going to end up with problems and not correct digestion. So okay, so you chew properly. Do not dilute the acids in your stomach by drinking. Right, now we're at the last process of eating. When the food leaves your stomach and goes down into your intestines. Okay. You remembered when I told you when you was chewing your food that your brain was receiving signals from receptors in your mouth as to what you were eating, so that your digestive system or your intestines could get the right enzymes and bacteria ready to finish the last of the digestive system. But I did say bacteria. What kills bacteria? Preservatives. That is what preservatives are put in food for, to kill bacteria. So if you eat food with preservatives in it, you're not going to get very good digestion, because your bacteria in your digestive system are going to be killed. Not only that, I won't go into details because it's out of my scope, but there's also side effects from eating preservatives. They are a chemical and there are side effects to eating them. So it's best if you keep preservatives completely out of your food. And watch the food you're eating too, because some of it, say you eat a block of cheese, that's fine. But when you buy shredded cheese already in the packet, it contains preservatives. Exactly the same with meat. If you get packaged mincemeat, all right, it's got preservatives in it, because once it's chopped up into fine pieces, it can go off quicker. So that's got preservatives in it as well. Okay, so avoid preservatives when you're eating, because you're not going to get complete digestion and it's just simply not good for you. So let's just recap again. So we're going to chew thoroughly, and that is the most important part of digestion. Chew thoroughly, limit processed foods, because your brain doesn't know what the hell it is you're eating. Don't drink 30 minutes before, during or after you're eating, and do not, under any circumstances, eat preservatives. Okay, so that's the end of this video. Burning body fat video number 1. I'll see you in burning body fat number 2. We're going to start getting into exercises and so forth, and how to actually exercise to get rid of body fat. I don't know if you can hear that, but that's the rubbish truck coming up the street. Okay, I'll catch you later. Live healthy.